I have a message for Mr. Putin. You do not get to tell us what to do. So Russia has invaded the Ukraine, and people are asking themselves if this is the beginning of World War III. I will try to present to you some of the information that I have been able to gather during the last few days. Now, I am not an expert on this at all, but I will try to share with you some thoughts, and I will also talk a little bit about the threats that Russia has now just recently made towards Sweden and Finland. And if you didn't know, I am in Norway and we have a border towards Russia. If you're not already a subscriber to this channel, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel immensely. And for those of you who have been following me, I can tell you that I have found another very old woodland, which I will be showing you this area in an upcoming video. We're talking about the Donbas area in eastern Ukraine. It's made up, I believe, of the regions Luhansk and Donetsk. And in that area, there's been a war since 2014. And I believe it's 14,000 people that have been killed in that area, soldiers and civilians. I found a list on Wikipedia, that pillar of truth. But anyway, on that list, I found 17 different combatant groups in that area. 17 groups. So it's a complicated conflict. One of those groups is called a Ukro-Nazi militia. It is said that they are proper neo-Nazis. Now, the USA, and especially the Biden family, they've been meddling in Ukrainian affairs for a long time. There can be no doubt about that. So, we need to take that into account as well. NATO has kept expanding. Okay? Russia is seeing that as a threat, and they've said so many times. But still, NATO has kept expanding, and it was now talks about the Ukraine joining NATO. If we look at this from the Russian side, this is Western aggression and Western expansion. This conflict will strengthen the Russia-China alliance. This is not good news for us here in Western Europe and North America. You know, it's not good news. It might embolden China to occupy, to take Taiwan. It might escalate, and that's why people are talking about this being the start of World War III. It will increase the energy crisis. It will probably lead to food shortage in many areas of the world. Ukraine is called the breadbasket of Europe. And there can be no doubt that the US and EU sanctions towards Russia will harm Europe. I will also say this. I view Russians and Ukrainians as kindred peoples. Kindred people. And when I say Russia and Russians, I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the government, the Putin regime, Putin and his minions. I am not talking about Russians at all. I have a Russian publisher. The first novel in the Viking Series will be published in Russian. It's very soon now, I believe. So, and I've been to Russia and I've been to the Ukraine. Wonderful countries, wonderful people. So it saddens me to see this now, see this happening. Now, I was going to say there are no good guys and bad guys here. Well, actually, there are lots of bad guys here. Putin is just, a dictator, power-hungry, ruthless dictator. I do not like how the rhetoric from the West, especially from that flatulent old man in the Oval Office, your Biden over there, that guy, how he tries to portray this as that we have the moral high ground. We don't. They have these people pointing their fingers at Russia now. They have blood on their hands. It's like one wife beater telling another wife beater that he has to stop beating his wife. I think that Russia really, really wants, well, Putin and his regime really wants to divide Europe. Now, north of Ukraine, you have the Belarus, and you have north of there again, you have Latvia and Lithuania. And now Belarus, Latvia, Lithuania, sorry, and Ukraine would effectively, if Russia spreads, well, takes control of those areas, it will change the map. And we will go back to Soviet era, Cold War Europe, which will be a tragedy for everyone. So the big question again, is this World War III? I guess it depends on how the US and NATO responds. I don't have the answer to this. But I am getting worried. I'm sitting here in Norway and I'm getting worried because I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday that Russian officials, they made a threat towards Sweden and Finland. And they said that if you join NATO, there will be consequences. Now, Norway is already part of NATO, and we have been so for a long time. Norway is strategically important because of the coastline and because of the sea up north. We are exposed, to say the least. And many people don't know that Russia made a similar threat towards Norway back in 2016. It was about Norway placing, let's see here if I can find the numbers, 300 or 350 US Marines in Værnes in the middle of Norway. And Russia said that if you do that, we might nuke you. That was not their exact words, but that was the meaning behind that message. And now, in a few days from now, we will have the, what's it called again? Operation Cold Response. That's a military exercise that takes place in the north of Norway, very close to the border towards Russia, at sea and on land. 35,000 Allied troops will be there, flexing their military muscles right at the border towards Russia. Now, this has been planned for a long time, but the timing couldn't have been worse. If Russia had done the same now, or in a few days, at the Norwegian border, Can you imagine the response from Western media, Western politicians? It makes me a little bit worried, to be honest with you. Okay, I'll put my notes away. So what can we do? I guess it depends on where you are. Now, I'm in Norway, so I'm keeping my eyes on the horizon. Now, we are very close to Russia. And I will say this. It's a tragedy, this conflict. I have never viewed the Russians as enemies. But if they invade Norway, we won't just give them Norway. There will be fighting. And I can promise that they might not like the response from Norway. I can tell you that. Now, people view Norway as, they've gone woke and weak and all that. No. Don't believe those lies. No. A few years ago, there was a film clip. Someone had filmed Norwegian soldiers I think it was in Afghanistan. And maybe you've seen it. They were raising their guns above their head before they were going out or driving out to some fighting there. They were shouting, "Til Valhall, til Valhall, til Valhall." It was a big fuss in Norwegian media. We can't say that. It's no. Well, they did. Maybe they still do. To Valhalla. Okay. A long talk. As I said, I'm not an expert on this at all. I've just tried to gather some information, and I will encourage you as well to gather information from different news outlets, both the mainstream media here in the West and more Russian-friendly news outlets as well. Don't trust mainstream media on this. Okay. Stay safe out there. Stay strong. And we'll talk soon. Bye.